in-house and how it can be of benefit to you. So our objectives for the session are to take a look at the objections to processing payroll in-house, and secondly, to talk about and show you at a high level how GP payroll can handle your needs. And we'll see if my slides will actually go here. Okay, so just a quick background about me. That's me on the left side there. My name is Shirlene Sorensen. I've been with Interdyne BMI for almost 20 years. I have a CPA background, so I understand your entire accounting system, but my passion is in payroll and HR. So that's where I spend the majority of my time implementing, training, reporting, supporting. And before I was a consultant with BMI, I also was a user of Dynamics GP and also the DOS product before that. Also worked on some other accounting packages, mostly in the payroll world there still. So I understand from a user standpoint your pains and challenges with running payroll in-house. To be clear, internally at Interdyne BMI, we're currently not processing payroll in-house. We were using Microsoft Dynamics GP payroll up until about May of 2015 very successfully in integrating our time transactions from a CRM interface. But because of a business model change, we were required to make a change away from processing in GP and now ADP. So, and this is much to our administration department's disappointment, but a year and a half later, our payroll person internally, she's still grieving not being able to use GP. So you'll see a few more testimonials about this in a little bit here. So of course we understand that there are reasons and times that you need to use an outsourced payroll. Perfectly okay with that process too. Our goal today obviously is to show you how GP can help you. We are passionate about GP here. We have a great team internally to help with GP payroll, so we feel in most cases we can help you as well. So our agenda for today, we are going to discuss two most commonly heard objections to bringing payroll in-house. We're going to talk about what others are saying who have been there, where they've switched one way or the other from GP to an outsource or from outsource to GP. And we'll do a brief review of Dynamics GP licensing structure, and then we'll finish up with a demo of Dynamics GP payroll, just a very high-level demo today. So starting out with our two most common objections of why, objections to bringing payroll in-house. The first one that we hear often is, I don't have the time, I don't have the resources in-house to process payroll. I just don't have the capacity to take it on. The second most commonly heard objection to running payroll in-house is that I don't have the payroll expertise, and also I don't want to file tax reports. And we can understand that not everyone is a payroll expert. We do feel like like the Dynamics GP software can be taught to someone that doesn't have a great payroll background. We work with a lot of payroll clients that don't have a lot of expertise in-house, but they are successfully running GP payroll. There was a third objection that was more applicable in the past, not so much anymore, and we'll learn more about that too. But in the past, there was an objection that cost may have been higher using payroll in-house or buying the extra modules. But you'll see when we look at the licensing that HR and payroll modules are now included with Microsoft Dynamics GP in the starter pack. So we see clients moving both directions, onto GP payroll from an outsource and also the other direction. We see that, we assist that. We have nothing against running either place. We'll help you either way. Also, you'll hear in this presentation, a lot of the objections will be listed around or a lot of the topic will be around ADP as an outsourced payroll. And again, we have nothing against ADP as a company or vendor. There are other vendors. It's just that this is the one that we see the most often that people are considering when outsourcing payroll. So if you're on ADP, don't feel like we're bashing you. It's just we want to talk about what some of the things are that we're actually hearing from clients. So I listed in here a few of the testimonials that I have heard actually very recently, and again, I've been implementing payroll and HR for about 20 years now, so I'm very familiar with these things up front. So let's go through a few of them. So from one of our clients down in Florida, Phil Meddy, he says, our costs for using ADP services was in excess of $200,000 per year to run weekly payroll for about 1,200 employees. Since GP includes the payroll and HR modules for no extra fee now, once we were trained on how to use it, our costs are minimal for support of the product. We're processing payroll in-house without additional staff. That's a powerful statement there. $200,000 seems like a lot of money to run payroll for 1,200 employees. And they are now internally running payroll with like a person and a half maybe as far as labor, and they're running it in-house without having added any additional staff to when they were running it with ADP. Another statement from Darla Robinson, payroll in GP is more cost-effective than ADP. ADP charges an amount per payroll per employee, and the only difference when processing payroll is that you don't have to print the checks. So she found that she really was spending as much time processing payroll when it's outsourced to ADP compared to running it in GP. She still has to do all the work. She has to maintain the employees, all the changes on benefits or deductions or pay rates and things like that. It's still very much maintenance done by the customer regardless of where you do that processing. Another one of our clients, Kathy Youngquist, who's the CFO at Elam Care, she says, we at Elam Care value the ability to process our 23 biweekly payrolls internally. This contributes to greater control of our information, more flexibility in dealing with changes and fixing errors, and spending fewer dollars on paying our 2,200 plus employees who work 24/7. They have a very complex setup, and I believe that they would have a very expensive setup to very expensive cost to run this on any outsourced payroll. With GP payroll, they can get features that they need. They can customize features that they need. They have control of when checks are printed. They're not charged per employee or per check that's done. They've got a lot more flexibility and control over what they're doing. Another statement from Phil Meddy at Eclipse. He said it was very difficult to get reports from ADP in an efficient manner that we could use. With GP, we have several tools at our disposal to do basically any kind of reporting that we want with minimal assistance. And that is very true. With GP, you have SmartList, you have SQL reporting, you have doing queries, writing SQL, you have other types of reporting tools all available to you. 270 plus canned reports within GP. So reporting within GP is a really great feature. Another common thing, you're hearing a common theme here about the reporting out of ADP is difficult. I've been working with ADP now since April of 2015. This is Darla Robinson internally here. Still have trouble finding reports or creating reports, and she makes a comment about support. Sometimes I get several different answers to the same question. Working with both GP and ADP, I wouldn't recommend anyone go with ADP over GP. So the comment about support, that could be said about other vendors as well. We at Interdyne BMI, I believe that we have the best team here. We have internally a Human Resources and Payroll Special Interest Group, where we have a group of consultants that have a passion for HR and payroll. We get these people more deeply involved in that, kind of cut down the number of hats that they're wearing so they can focus and specialize and be really good at what they're doing. So I do believe that we give excellent support, and hopefully you won't be experiencing this type of situation when you call our support line for help. One more comment here. ADP files the quarterly and annual tax reports, but you still have to verify all the information and make sure that everything ties out. So the only time savings is filing the reports, which does not take that long. So, and we do see this with many clients, and I've had some clients go to ADP because they don't want to be responsible for filing those reports. But I've seen this comment many times too when clients come into GP, that really they're spending about the same amount of time. They are still liable that everything on those reports is correct, whether they are actually pushing the button to file it or not. So it feels like it's the same amount of risk there. And one last comment here, third-party products that are available with GP, like green shades for garnishments and tax filings, make it even easier to bring payroll in-house. And this is awesome. There's a really great product right in the standard GP. There's the additional module for extra features, also available from Microsoft for more complex enhancements, and there's many third-party products available. So everybody has different needs. I don't know that we ever see just a standard payroll. Everybody's got some different needs around payroll and human resources. So it's awesome that there are third-party products available. We obviously test those and make sure that we approve them internally before we sell them to our clients. But anything that you need, we can find a third-party product for, or we also do internal development to assist with those needs. So in a nutshell, some reasons that you might want to consider using GP Payroll. There's cost savings. You own it. GP 2013 and newer, the payroll and HR modules are both included in the cost of the software for nothing extra. Easier reporting, more options, reporting, that's all over. That's really, really important to us. We have more flexibility and control. We don't have to meet external deadlines. Our basic deadline is that we have to have a file to the bank in time, and that's going to be no matter what product you're using for GP. But we have flexibility and control over how many checks we print, how often we print, when we do that, and when we make changes to set up. Lots of flexibility and control with GP. With the latest modeling, license modeling for GP, you get unlimited employees. It used to be that there was a tiered pricing structure. That's gone away for the most part. So you can have as many employees as you need, write as many checks as you need to in a year, all for no extra cost with GP Payroll. Because this is part of an entire accounting package, you have fewer integrations required. Obviously, payroll will integrate to the financial module. We also can grab information from a project module or job cost module, so all of that can feed into payroll. We've got external time-keeping systems that can feed directly into payroll, so you're reducing the amount of manual work that you're doing. Payroll will also feed over to accounts payable, so any liabilities from your payroll processing can automatically create payables vouchers to be paid through the accounts payable to the vendors. It's automatically integrated with your human resources module. A lot of sharing of data there with security, of course, that you have options to set, but we really feel like this product reduces what you would have to do for double entry or multiple keying. Reduces errors when you have to key things fewer times, and saves time when you can share that data. And then again, we have many companion products available to fit any specialized needs that wouldn't be covered in the standard product for you. So just really quickly, with the starter pack from Microsoft Dynamics GP 2013 and newer versions, in the starter pack you have the financial modules, you have distribution for SOP and POP, and you've got payroll and HR all included with that. There's also an extended pack if you need anything on manufacturing or warehousing or other professional services. Those are, the extended pack would be extra cost, but everything in that starter pack is part of the basic purchase. Included in the starter pack regarding HR and payroll, under the payroll header we have unlimited employees for US or Canada. We have the payroll direct deposit features included. We have the ability to create the federal magnetic media file for W-2s, and many states accept that same file, so if you happen to process payroll for those states that take the same file as the federal, you wouldn't even need extra software for that. There's a Payroll Connect if you are using an outsource feature where you need to bring a journal entry in-house or other payroll information in-house. There's a Payroll Connect feature as well. With human resources, again, we have unlimited employees. We have the manager and the employee self-service available, and also a position control module if you need to do additional budgeting per position. And just a quick side note, you can use the Human Resources module without implementing payroll. You can use the payroll module without implementing Human Resources. There are some features that make it efficient to use both, and in our implementations, a lot of times we'll at least use some basic features of HR around the benefits area so that that is nicely integrated over to payroll. Excuse me. So what we find with the Dynamics GP payroll and HR comments we hear from people, it's easy to learn. They like that it's part of the accounting system. There's robust data management. It's all saved. It's all backed up with your SQL database. You have ability to do the complete payroll processing from beginning to end. And really it isn't that many more steps to actually process your checks rather than get everything ready and send it off to an outsourced payroll. You have a few more steps to complete within the product, but really overall time, when you think about the time spent verifying reports, when you do have an outsourced payroll, it's probably really not that much more time to complete the whole payroll in-house. GP offers awesome reporting options, and there's also a self-service module included with GP now and a web client. If you have more complex needs within the extended payroll and HR pack, we've got what used to be called Human Resources Advanced and Payroll Advanced, and then there was a module for the PTO manager if you had special needs around accruing time off. And there's also a benefits self-service suite if you need employees to enroll online in benefits. So digging in a little bit more detail into that extended pack, it will help with if you have complex pay rates to calculate. For example, working two different departments, you have two different pay rates for an employee, or if you have a certain department or position that gets a set differential, that's included in the extended pack as part of the I'm blanking out on the name of it right now. We'll come to it in a little bit, but it's part of that extended pack. And labor analysis reporting, you can also send your hours to the GL. So if you want to report on units of any sort, you know, hours can go to a unit account in the GL. You can also do an accrual with that extended pack. You can create an accrual entry for pay periods that extend over the end of a month, or a financial period that you want to accrue that expense back into the month that it was actually incurred. We have additional features for vacation and sick accruals. There's extended certification and licenses as part of the HR features there, and employee health and wellness tracking, as well as an online benefit enrollment option there. So what we're finding is that really GP payroll can fit for most customers. I've seen very few extremely complex setups that do not fit for GP payroll. And because I have been on the customer side, I understand the pain. I feel like we as a company are very upfront with our clients. We're careful about digging out what your needs are and helping you know whether GP will be a good fit for you or not. We don't want to implement the product if it's really not a great fit for you, because you're not going to be happy in the end. So we do a great job on the front end, making sure that it is a good fit for you or helping you find the products that will work for your needs. I was speaking with one of our account managers earlier today, and he was telling me that all but about 2 of the big football teams use GP payroll. They don't have a lot of employees, but they're required to pay local taxes for their employees in every city that they play games in. So taxes can get really complex. GP can handle that. Very complex tax and reporting needs there. So I'm going to jump in and show you the product at a high level here. Again, this isn't meant to give you a full look at it, but we're going to get you started seeing just the basics of what GP payroll has in it, and whet your appetite a little bit. And of course, if it's something that you're considering, we would love to schedule a one-on-one session with you to learn more about what your needs are specifically, and then we can show you a little bit more about what pertains it to exactly your needs. So jumping over to my GP image here, this is your navigation page for Human Resources and Payroll. You'll see it's, same interface as you have for other modules within GP. I'm going to start us out by looking right in our employee maintenance window. And if you are using the HR module, you may start your employee entry under your applicant, your HR applicant module. So GP HR can feed from the time an employee or the time a potential employee walks into your office until going through the hiring process and making sure all the requirements are met for that person, hiring them, doing the actual hire into the employee maintenance window, tracking everything about an employee while they're here, and then through the termination process. So using both modules together, you actually have an end-to-end product there that can help those needs. So looking at the employee maintenance window here, I'll just pull up one of my employees so you can see a little bit about this window. Within the product, of course, we have great flexibility in setting up codes that pertain to your system. We can set up employee classes that help you group employees together in a meaningful way. This sample data isn't really using the class ID how I would suggest it's used. I like to see this used more on separating my employees by their benefit level. So it might show full-time, part-time employees that get one level of benefits versus another. Could also include, make this a complex structure if you want, where you're making it so it could be like full-time management, full-time staff, part-time management, part-time staff, all kinds of ways. So as we're consulting, when you implement this, we will give you ideas of how to set your codes up so that they will be easy for you to use and easy for you to get the reporting out that you need. I'm not going to go through a lot of detail in these, but I just want to point out that any of the fields that you see that are underlined here, we can zoom back to the setup level. Standard GP navigation with that. With your position setup, there's a lot of information available. You can see my bold fields are what's required. This install happens to have my position management turned on, which is a little bit more complex feature that I could turn off if I don't need to do budgeting by position. but very little is required to actually set up my codes. The rest of it is all extra information that you can track if you want, and those would be what we would consider HR fields. So as you can see, this window is one of the windows that's shared between the human resources and the payroll module. If you're implementing strictly payroll, you fill in just the very basic of what you need or what you want to track. You don't have to do everything that's in there. You have just a few required fields. In order to save an employee, we need to have a social security number, first and last name, and a department and a position field. Our department and position fields drive toward how the wages and payroll transactions will post to the GL. I'll show you in a little bit how that all comes together. Also from this so this is also a shared window between human resources and payroll. You have a shortcut up here to go to payroll windows or go to human resources windows. So you can see that there are a lot of features also listed in the human resources. The nice thing about using this go to is you can go to any window and it takes you to that window with the employee. It drags the employee along, so I don't have to enter my employee again in that related window. So I'm not going to go through all of these features. Obviously today there's a lot there in the HR module as well, but payroll specifically, to set up a new employee, we would want to be sure to go to our tax information window. This is your W-4 information. Again, if you're using the employee self-service, this could be an area that employees are filling in their own information, and through an approval process it can update in the product only after it's approved. GP, from Microsoft we get tax releases, so all of your withholding tables for federal withholding, state withholdings, a few of the local tax withholdings, and also like your Social Security rates and maximums, those all will come from tax updates directly from Microsoft in this, that you would load into the product. So you don't have to do those manually at all. GP handles any state tax. Also, if you have a local tax that's not in the product manually or in the product automatically, those local taxes can be added manually. So you can see in the state tax window that depending on the state I choose here, I would have different options based on how that state in particular works for their withholding tables. Okay, also for an employee we would want to be sure that we go to the pay codes and put in what their pay rate is. One of the things that I like to consult customers on, and sometimes they come to us and they haven't been set up very efficiently, and it's worth doing a review of their setup, but we want to make sure that your pay codes are set up with the correct pay type so they work properly and they're all linked together properly. So you can see on this particular employee, it's an hourly person. I've set them with the hourly code as their primary pay code. And if I add an overtime pay code to the employee, it links it to my hourly code, it pulls in my rate that's on the hourly code, it knows that I want time and a half. I can override that if I need a different pay factor there. So it's automatically calculating what that rate is. So if I save that, I also get to save this to history. I can set up my own list of reasons for change in the history. It'll track all of that, when those changed and who changed that. So now if I have a pay rate change here, let's say that I'm changing Angela to $16 an hour. If I save that, I get a question, do you want to roll this down to the other pay codes based on this pay code? So this is where it's important to make sure that your pay codes are set up properly so that they are linked together. And then when I say yes to this, it saves me keystrokes of not having to update every single pay code that should be based on that one. So you can see now my holiday pay code now is at my new rate. My hourly is still there. My overtime has updated to the new rate related to that. Part of the extended features that was mentioned there, if I jump back to my employee here. I'm not going to show all of these features in order, but this is one of the extended package features is the pay policy. I was trying to think of the word before. And if I put in my pay rate here, so for example, Angela in her normal position and department makes $16 an hour, but I've added a row in here where when she works in the support department, she automatically gets an additional $2 an hour. So when I enter transactions for Angela, if the department says sports, or says support, SPTS is the code name, I'm going to get a pay rate automatically of $18 an hour. If I enter any other transaction for her, she's going to get her standard rate at $16 an hour. Excuse me. Also from the employee maintenance window, we can jump over and look at the direct deposit window. Here you can see that for any employee, you can have unlimited numbers of bank accounts. They can be checking or savings. You can put dollar amounts or flat amounts in. As long as you have one row at the end that has 100%, that's the row that will get the remainder of the net pay in the check. So again, you can have unlimited. We see a lot of clients that they just blame it on the software and say we can't do more than one account or we can't do more than 2 accounts. I'm fine with that. You can blame the software if you like, but in reality, you really can have unlimited accounts here for each employee. With the employee self-service, you can give the employees the option of submitting new account numbers or changing which accounts get priority or changing their amounts to be deposited. That's all part of the employee self-service if you give them access to that. Okay, just showing you briefly for the benefits and deductions, I like to show that this window is, we do recommend that you use the human resources version of that. It integrates tightly with the payroll side. The nice thing about the human resources benefits and deductions window is it ties together if there is both an employee and an employer share, a cost to subscriber and a cost to employer. They're listed on the same window. The payroll side breaks those two things, the employee share and the employer share, into 2 separate areas. The HR benefits and deductions will tie those together. And when you save it here in the HR side, you get a question asking if you want to keep this data consistent. Over in the payroll side, it leads you right through the window so you can OK and save. You basically don't have to touch them. You just save that you do want the payroll side also updated to match the HR side. Also, you can see on this health insurance type of a code here that we have the fields where you can choose your values for the ACA reporting. That almost every employer, I think over 50 employees right now is the limit, you would be required to do some 1095-C reports. We do recommend that if you have a large number of employees, I would say anything over about 150 to 200 employees, we would probably recommend a companion product for that that would handle that a little bit more smoothly than what the GP features do. But if you have a small payroll, a small set of employees, small, relatively small, like under a couple hundred employees, the GP features probably can cover your needs for this, and we can help you set that up. You've got all the values there that you will need. There's an update coming at this year end to add a couple more values on the list here. That what I've heard is that not too many people will need those, but the update will include those options. So with the year-end process, then you can create the 1095-C reports here. I wanted to just show you briefly the window where we can set up the payroll posting to GL. On my home page, I have set up a couple of shortcuts, and that is not one of them. I'm sorry. I'm just going to go the long way into administration and posting and payroll accounts. I'll just show you this window. This is where you can see that we can set up any combination of department, position, and pay code to post to a general ledger account. So you may have very complex needs around this. We can help you define codes so that we can get them to post where you need. If you need the hours to go to the GL, we've got the ability to do that over here as well. So for every part of the GL entry that goes along with a payroll, you have the option of setting up your accounts down to that granular level of detail. Also, if you have needs to like split employee wages between two departments and things like that, that can be done at the transaction level. It can also be done using the auto splits features, and if you have really complex needs, there are some companion products that help with that as well.
Hey Charlene, I just wanted to let you know that we got about 8 or 9 minutes just before the questions.
Okay, great. And we will speed up our demo here just a little bit. We're actually almost to the point where I can be done with the demo part, and then we'll get on to your questions. Thank you. So back in the Human Resources and Payroll modules here, I'll just quickly show you the transactions process. Here's the window where you can enter transactions. I'll grab my test batch that I have in here. I had entered a couple of transactions for Angela. You can see how when I entered the 40 hours and my department was the INST department, it came in, and this was before I put in her pay rate change. If I hit calculate here, it updated my pay rates to the latest rates. So again, you can use this to your advantage to be able to get those rates updated, or if you need to do a pay rate change in the middle of a pay period, we have the ability to do that. We can just override what our pay rate is right here. One transaction can be at the old rate and one transaction at the new rate. So you can see there that you have the ability to edit that as well. So once you have your transactions all in and you've edited those, there's a build process, a calculate process, and then a print checks process. I'm not going to go through that whole process right now for the sake of time, but it goes usually very quickly. We also have reports that will print out during those processes. A build report will help you find if there are any issues, pay codes that aren't set up properly, or codes that should be subject to state taxes that aren't marked as subject to state taxes and things like that. And other pre-posting reports that will print out with your calculate checks process. You get a whole report that shows you exactly what the paycheck is going to look like before you go to print checks. You can get reports on the totals of your pay transactions, totals of deductions, totals of taxes, everything that you need to preview before you actually go to that print check stage. Let's see, what else did I want to show you quickly here? I'm going to show you also just a quick preview of the Smart List. This is one place in addition to canned reports. I'm going to kind of skip over the canned reports, but I wanted to show you that with the Smart List, this is a basic product. As part of the standard GP that you get the Smart List viewer here. You can see in this list I have set up my own. These are part of these are reports that I can do when I have the Smart List Builder. That's an additional purchase, but it allows us to create our own reports. GP does also come with a Smart List Builder product of its own called Smart List Designer, so you can create your own folders in here. We have used Smart List Builder with most of our payroll clients. We have a suite of reports. Most of these that you can see in here are part of our suite of Smart List objects that you can purchase too, that will also give you lots of information. But our Smart Lists are great. You can have go-tos built into them, so if you need to look at an employee, look at something about them, it zooms you right to their employee maintenance. Another nice thing about Smart Lists, I've got one set up here where I'm watching to make sure that my primary pay codes are filled in on my employees, and I see that in this sample install of GP, I have quite a few employees that don't have my primary pay code marked. So from this one, I can double click on it, go to my employee maintenance. From here, jump over and look at the pay codes related to this employee. Adam Barr happens to be an hourly person. I could tell that because the holiday is based on hours. So when I get to that one, that's the one I want to mark as primary. The other cool thing about Smart List that I love to show is that when I have a reminder set up like you saw on that page, I can set it up here so that when I log into GP, I can be doing some data checks here right away. Every day I can see, oops, there are a few records showing up I need to go to do something with because I missed it when I was setting up the employee. So I can quickly use that reminder, hop into this Smart List, double click on it, go to the employee, and do my thing about addressing that, what was missed on that one. So Smart List favorites, reminders, I think that is about the end of what I wanted to show with my demo. I did want to just show really quickly on my navigation here too, you can see if I'm using the employee self-service, I have a homepage section for that. We have the features where we can allow employees to enter time for a pay period. This would be used like an after-the-fact type of a time entry. This is not a time clock. We do have other companion products that can work with time clock logging if you need that, but the GP features for this are an after-the-fact time entry. So employees can go enter their time, they can submit a timesheet, they can view their pay stubs, look at their direct deposits, look at the benefits that they're enrolled in, and also W-4s, even W-2s. Also with the newest version of GP 2016 R2 that's coming out in November, they'll even be able to, and you as payroll administrators will also be able to print out W-2s without ordering pre-printed forms. There will be a form that will print one per page just right directly out of GP, so you can even get by without ordering forms if you want to use that feature. So that's a really, really quick overview of the GP payroll features. Hopefully it has sparked your interest and you want to see a little bit more, and we'd be glad to set up time with you one-on-one to talk about what you specifically need and how we might address that with GP. So at this time, let me jump back to my slides and just give you a quick view of some of the additional resources that we use with GP. Many companion products that we work with, and of course we use these ourselves. We have them go through an approval process so that we can put our blessing on these before we would sell them to customers. We've worked with many of these vendors. Time Matrix is a great one for your time clock. There's many other ones also that can integrate, but this one has a built-in integration right into GP payroll transactions. My Staffing Pro is a great HR solution that sits on the front of it. If you want to do things like online applicant enrollment, and then have that feed into GP when you're ready to hire those, My Staffing Pro is a great solution for that. If you have many companies that you're running payroll for, and you want to keep them all within one GP database, keep things as consistent as possible, Binary Stream is a great one for the multi-entity product under that. And we have many clients using all of these products very successfully. Green Shades and Integrity also have some really cool products. Integrity has built a lot of things that can help with some of your payroll processing, like negative, negative payroll transactions, and also an ACA 1095-C reporting. Green Shades also has the 1095-C reporting as another option, and they do the tax filings if you don't want to do those on your own. McCorma has a way that you can print checks with all of the MICR encoding. We've got other options for that as well. PrintBoss is another one that's becoming more popular for that. So anything you need, we can help you find solutions for that. And summing it up, some great reasons to look at GP payroll again. It's included with your licensing right now. Anything 2013 or older or newer includes payroll. It's robust. It's integrated with your entire accounting system. It's easy to use. We provide you great training on that. You've got lots of other educational and training opportunities also that don't cost money. Many customers use this product. Many reports available, lots of reporting options available. It's familiar navigation to what you're used to using. And of course, your partner is really willing and ready to help you. Other things you might want to consider to attend coming up, I just wanted to put in an extra plug for these webinars that I'll be personally involved in. We've created a few ISV products that are just little things that will help within the product to keep things running smoothly and save you time. A payroll posting accounts enhancement, payroll productivity suite, and our suite of smart lists that I gave you a little glimpse of. Those are all within November. And then in December we're doing a webinar about how to make sure that your taxable wages are correct so you can have confidence about filing the correct information when you do those tax reports. Again, here's my contact info. This is all in the slides that you're downloading. Let's open it up for questions. Thank you very much for attending, and I will be here for another 10-15 minutes or as long as anybody has questions to answer.
Well, perfect. Thanks for a great presentation today, and we haven't had any questions come in yet, but let's just give maybe another couple minutes for folks to get anything they want to ask in. Okay. In the meantime, was there anything else you wanted to show?
Let's see here. I did not really prepare more to show. There were a couple of questions that I wanted to be sure we did answer in case anyone listening had the question. We're talking, it's October 26th right now. The question might be, can I still get payroll implemented by January 1st? January 1st is a very common date to implement payroll for a go live. We'd like to see you start as soon as possible if you want to go live on January 1, but it is still possible to do that. We'd be glad to help you get started on that. We want to make sure that there's time for you to get trained, time to get your data into GP. We can help you with imports on that so it's not all manual entry. The other question that I wanted to be sure we answered is people often ask, well, can I go live with GP anytime other than January 1st? January 1st is crazy for most of us with all the year-end. Yes, you can go live with GP Dynamics GP payroll on any date within the year. You can choose the date. The only difference is that we need to bring in a year-to-date entry for your wages so that your W-2s will have the entire year's worth of wages included on them. Okay. Michael, anything else come in there?
Let's see here. I don't quite see anything.
All right. Well, we could definitely give people back 5 minutes of their time and we'd all be happy. We can go get our cup of coffee before our next meetings.
Exactly. Let's go ahead and do that. And if any later questions do come up, you can feel free to reach out to Charlene, myself, or your account executive, and we can help you from there.
Okay. Thank you all very much, and thank you, Michael, for facilitating today.
Yeah, thanks again for the presentation, and everyone have a good rest of your day.
Awesome. Thanks. Bye.
Bye, guys.